Hey everybody, Sage here, and yes, the white table and the white backdrop are back. It's been a while since I've last done a video like this, and for good reason, aside from, focusing on life and everything, but I'm back and here to stay. Now, because it's been a while since I've last done a video like this, I've kinda gotten stuck on what I should do here, so I asked you guys on Twitter on what vlog-like video you would like to see from me, and sure enough, Computer Showcase 1. So that's what I'm going to do here. Don't worry, I'll still do the CD-ROM showcase and everything, but what better way to start off these computer showcases than with my first gaming laptop. The Dell Latitude D830. First released in 2007, it is the fourth in the Latitude D800 series of notebooks. I do have one other model, the Latitude D810, which was my first PC laptop I ever used. This is actually the second PC laptop I've used throughout my life, but this is also my first gaming laptop, which is why I consider this to be special to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly showcase it here, and then I'm going to turn it on and see what contents are on this system. So without further ado, let's begin. Of course, you've got the Dell logo right at the top, so if you open up the laptop and turn it around, the logo is right side up. And over on the front, you've got the little latch that keeps the laptop closed in place. On the left side, you've got the Kensington security slot, a vent for the CPU fan, an IEEE 1394 connector, also known as FireWire 400, a mic jack, a headphone jack, an express card slot, a switch for the wireless card, and a PC card slot. And below that is where the hard drive slides in and out. On the right side, you've got a modular bay, which currently houses the optical drive. And the best part about these modular bays is that they're hot swappable, so you can swap it with a secondary battery or a floppy drive. All you just have to do is press the little thing right there and slide it out, and there you go. And when you want to put it back in, you just simply slide it in like that. And right next to that are two USB ports, both USB 2.0. On the back, you've got the Ethernet port, S-Video port, an extra USB port with a power connector on top of it, which I'll explain what that does later, an internal modem port, a serial port, VGA, charger port, and another vent for the CPU fan. And on the bottom is nothing particularly special aside from the rubber feet, the extra vent for the CPU fan, and a dock connector for a Dell expansion dock, which adds extra functionality such as a DVI port and a parallel port. Over on the left, you got some markings and service tags and a serial number for Windows XP. You also have a lid for the RAM slot, so you can add some extra RAM underneath that. The hard drive area is on the bottom right, and on the bottom left is the battery, which is still good, and is also user replaceable just by flipping the switch right there, lifting the battery up, and the battery is out. You will be left with a missing foot though. Now at this point, I've only shown you what the system looks like with the screen closed, so let's go ahead and open up the screen, unlock the latch here, and ta-da! Now the screen itself is nothing spectacular. It's a 15-inch 1920 by 1200 display. Pretty good display for the time, and of course there is no webcam on this unless you count this thing right there, which is actually an ambient light sensor. And then we have the actual base computer right here. We got the Latitude D830 brand and model number. We've got the keyboard lights for numlock, caps lock, and scroll lock. We've got the volume control buttons, the power button, more lights for power, hard drive, battery, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. The stereo speakers. We've got the keyboard itself with some extra functions. So for example, if you hold down function and the arrow keys, you can adjust the screen brightness. There's also a special key for a backlit keyboard, but as far as I know, this keyboard is not backlit. And of course, you can activate scroll lock by pressing function and the numlock key right here. Below the keyboard is the trackpad with the two mouse buttons associated with it. There's also an alternative way to move the mouse with the little nub in the middle of the keyboard, so you can use the system like a ThinkPad. It even has these two mouse buttons below the spacebar. And finally, we've got the two stickers here, one for Intel Centrino Inside, aka Centrino 2, aka Core 2 Duo, and finally one noting that this computer was designed for Windows XP. which in fact it is. As I mentioned before, this computer did come out in 2007, the same year Windows Vista came out, and while a lot of Windows XP computers at that time were being advertised as Vista capable, they didn't necessarily perform that well compared to Windows XP. And honestly, Windows XP is my favorite operating system anyway, so there's that. So that is pretty much it for the computer itself. Let's actually turn this thing on. I already have it plugged into power, so should work perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and turn it on here. There's the disk drive working. Let me go ahead and get into the BIOS here. So here we are in the BIOS screen, and I will talk about the specs along the way. Right now we're in System Info, Latitude D830, running on BIOS version A17, which is the latest, I believe. So looking at the processor, we've got an Intel Core 2 Duo running at 2.4 gigahertz. Under memory info, we have 4 gigabytes of memory installed. It is possible to load up to 8 gigabytes of RAM on this machine with the latest BIOS version installed, but officially it supports up to 4 gigabytes of DDR2 memory. As for device info, we have an 80 gigabyte hard drive installed and a DVD burner on the main modular bay. As for graphics, we have an NVIDIA Quadro NVS 140M with 256 megabytes of video RAM built in. And there's the panel type. It's a 15.4 inch with a resolution of 1920 by 1200. And then we got all the other controllers included in the system. And as I mentioned before, the battery's still pretty good and working normally. And the date and time seems to be correct, so there's that. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you. So let's go ahead and exit here. And we'll boot into the main operating system, Windows XP. And here we go. Windows XP was one of the first operating systems I ever used as a kid, and I consider it one of my favorite Windows operating systems. And here we are at the login screen. We've got 2 accounts here, Bob and Gene. Okay, so I had to hook up an external mouse because I'm not really used to using the trackpads. So anyways, let's start off with the Bob account. That name sounds very familiar. Can't place it though. Anyways, oh, it requires a password. Let me go ahead and type that in. And here we are at the desktop. Again, looks very familiar. Can't place it though. But anyways, here we are in the desktop with the classic Bliss wallpaper, the default wallpaper in Windows XP, which, fun fact, is actually the most viewed photograph in history. And Michael MJD did a video about the full history of this wallpaper, so if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description for that. But anyways, this is Windows XP. You probably already know what Windows XP is. It's classic operating system with everything that you know and love, you know, the usual stuff. Let's go ahead and take a little tour of the desktop. So we'll start off with Firefox here, the latest version for Windows XP. And it does take a while to load up since this is on a hard drive, of course. Oh, nice. Of course, we have to have that. So I'm going to go ahead and browse the web here, and I'll go to youtube.com here, and the page to one of my favorite creators. You probably already know what it is. Like I said, it does take a while to load, unfortunately. So here we are on YouTube on a computer from 2007, which is, yeah. And it does work, sort of. Let's go ahead and play one of the videos here.
Hey guys, how are you all doing? If you're new here,
Let me try going full screen.
My name is Crazy Ken, and today we're not taking our feet off the scam-busting gas because I've received tons of messages about this very fishy advertising campaign for the Starscope Monocular Telescope. The most common ad I saw for the Starscope looks like this, a video which tells us the backstory of the product. They claim that it's only
So yeah, YouTube does work, but it's very slow. Since this is running on Windows XP, it doesn't surprise me since, you know, XP hasn't been supported in years and Firefox hasn't been supported for XP in years. But yeah, it does technically work, but it's, well, very slow. So won't bother with that one. So let's get out of there. Next up, we've got Windows Movie Maker. This is a classic. So let's load it up here, and yep, here we are. We could try to capture some video and or import pictures, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go to video effects. We got a bunch of classic video effects here. I'll resize the preview screen here. So we've got a bunch of effects using the Bliss wallpaper, as we saw before. Let's look at film age. That's pretty nice. Let's look at older. Look at that. The frame just dropped right there. And then finally, oldest. Yeah. And then we got film grain, which isn't really film grain. So then we got the video transitions. We got a bunch of transitions here. You probably remember some of them from old school YouTube videos, like way, way back in the day. That's a classic. But what's more iconic are the titles and or credits. Remember those old Windows Movie Maker titles from the old YouTube videos back in the day? Well, let's take a look at that. And here's what it looks like. Classic. Well, anyways, that was fun. So yeah, there you go. That's Windows Movie Maker. Next up, we've got Internet Explorer. This is a classic. Internet Explorer 8 to be exact. The latest one that will run on Windows XP. And no, I don't want to set it up. Now, seeing how a lot of websites these days will not run on Internet Explorer, really the only few websites that will run are mostly ones that don't rely too much on the modern internet technology. But there is one particular website that will work under Internet Explorer, and that is the Wayback Machine, using the Wayback Classic front end. So we can go back in time to any website from the past. So for example, we can go back to apple.com here from 2007, somewhere around the time the iPhone came out, which as of 2022, it'll be the 15th anniversary of the first iPhone. And here it is, the Apple website as shown in 2007, the same year this laptop came out. And yeah, works perfectly fine. So yeah, the only real use of Internet Explorer these days is just to go to old websites and whatnot. So yeah, there you go. And of course, we've got the control panel, which is nothing more than a shortcut to the actual control panel. But while we're in the control panel, we might as well look at the system specifications here. So we've got Windows XP Professional Service Pack 3 registered to yours truly. And this computer has an Intel Core 2 Duo CPU running at 2.4 gigahertz. It is a T7700, which is actually a socketed CPU. So it's technically possible to upgrade this to a quad-core processor with the same socket spec. Not like you wanted to, but hey, it's there. Sadly, you can't upgrade the graphics processor because it is soldered to the board. So now let's move on to AVG. Yes, this thing actually has an antivirus installed, and yes, it is AVG. The latest version for Windows XP, and it even has the latest virus definitions. So yeah, there you go. It's actually running AVG antivirus. Not like I want to have AVG installed on this computer, but hey, why not? So then we got another program, Virus Maker. Now, you might be asking yourself, what the heck is a virus maker doing right next to an antivirus? Well, that's because it is actually not a virus maker as you might think. It is actually a shortcut to the Windows Error Message Creator. So you can create your own error messages and maybe prank someone with a shutdown dialog, or you can even create a VBS if you want to, which that's pretty cool. So for example, I can create a question dialog box like, will there be another computer showdown? And the message box title could be question. And then I could just click standard and there you go. Will there be another computer showdown? No. So while it may not be an actual quote-unquote virus maker, besides it'd be illegal if that was actually a thing, this is still a pretty fun little program to play with. And then we've got the gun maker. Oh, sorry, FPS gun maker. Yeah, need some context with that. But much like with Virus Maker, is it an actual gun maker? Well, not quite. Instead, it's one of my favorite first-person shooters, Marathon Infinity. It's quite a fun game, actually, mainly for the multiplayer. The single player is meh. So why don't we play a new game? Because, of course, we can. I haven't played the single-player campaign in a while, so it'll take a while to get used to. Got the door. For a game made years ago for the Mac, it's actually not too bad. Oh, what the heck was that? Oh, got some aliens. Yep. Come on. Up. Got some more attacking. There we go. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Looks like I took care of them. You get the idea. So let's just cancel it right here. If you want to check out Marathon Infinity, it is available as a free download online if you want to check it out. Next up, we've got QuickTime, the latest one for Windows XP. Now, of course, it's not going to load the stuff that it would normally show because, well, it's been years since Apple dropped support for QuickTime for Windows, so there's that. But yeah, nothing much else to look at here aside from the fact that I don't have the Pro version. So now we come to the floppy drive. Now, remember that little USB connector on the back that I mentioned earlier? Well, that was for an external modular bay, which allows you to use a second modular bay, whether it be a second optical drive or a floppy drive. Now, it is a quote-unquote proprietary connector. It is powered by USB, but it has that little power connector at the top that I mentioned earlier. So you will need one of those systems to use an external modular bay. And thanks to the power of editing, I have an external modular bay hooked up right now with a working floppy drive and a working floppy in there. So let's go ahead and load it up. You can probably already hear the floppy working away. And the same can be said about the CD drive here. That shortcut also works because I have a built-in optical drive already in there. And yes, you can load up the optical drive from Windows XP without putting in a disk. And of course, let's not forget about the removable drive. If you have a flash drive loaded up here, it will indeed load up from the E drive here. I have a USB drive already hooked up. So yeah, a lot of the icon shortcuts do actually work. And of course, we've got Windows Media Player built into Windows XP, of course. This is version 10, so you can play a variety of files like audio and video files, audio CDs and DVDs if you got some lying around. And then we have the My Computer icon, which is just basically My Computer. I mean, what did you expect? And then we've got the Poca Player. Or is it Poca Power? Heck if I remember. So remember that scene from the Icon Wars short film where Windows Vista absolutely hates Poca? Well, does Poca Player actually play Poca? And the answer is yes, it does. I'm going to close it up here before YouTube content claims it. And yes, YouTube is starting to content claim royalty-free tracks now. Now, there is one more icon I want to show off on the desktop here, and that is My Diary, or more specifically, Bob's Diary. So what was in Bob's Diary this whole time? Well, the results are going to be quite disappointing to you. Absolutely nothing, because Bob completely wiped his diary before he gave this computer to me. I'm just kidding. The laptop was actually mine the whole time. I just gave it to Bob for the Icon Wars short film. I heard he had a pet goat. I guess if you want something inside the diary, then there you go. So in case you guys didn't get it, this is the same computer that was used in the Icon Wars short film that I did years ago. But as I mentioned before, this was also my first gaming laptop I ever used. And the first game that I started playing regularly on this system was Train Simulator, which I still play to this very day. Not on this system, of course. I later upgraded to a Precision M4400 laptop, which was slightly faster, but not too fast, before I eventually upgraded to the Inspiron gaming laptop that I currently use today. So this laptop does have a special place in my heart. Not only was it the first gaming laptop I used, but it was also the laptop featured in a short film that many of you probably do remember. But we're not quite done yet with this computer showcase. As I mentioned before, there are 2 accounts on this particular system. So I'm going to go ahead and log out of the Bob account here, and we're going to log into the other account. There's the classic logging off jingle right there. So here I am back in the login screen, and aside from the Bob account that we explored earlier, there is also a Gene account. So let's see what's on this account, and this one doesn't require a password, so with just one click I should be able to access it. Yes, that is a desktop theme. Now, for those who don't know, this is a recreation of the main menu screen for Survive the Internet, a Jackbox party game that's part of the 4th Jackbox party pack. Yes, Jackbox made 4 party packs, 8 to be exact, and they're all really good packs. Well, aside from the first one, but that was when they were trying to find their footing. And not only does the game make fun of internet culture, but it also pays homage to the classic Windows desktop environment, especially the wallpaper, which obviously pays homage to Bliss. Once again, I would highly suggest you go check out Michael MJD's Bliss documentary if you haven't seen it yet. The documentary is so well done, and Michael MJD is an underrated YouTuber anyways. So I tried my best to recreate the desktop from Survive the Internet as much as I could, even down to the icons, the colors, and even the cursor too. The cursor actually does work. This is quite a decent recreation of the Survive the Internet desktop, and it even has a functional Survive the Internet shortcut, which actually leads you to a web browser that takes you to survivetheinternet.com, which redirects you to jackbox.tv. Impressive, right? And it even has the same color scheme and whatever. It's actually Firefox for Windows XP, but still, it's the closest to an actual Jackbox desktop theme for Microsoft Windows I can get. And of course, let's not forget about the abundance of Easter eggs from Survive the Internet as well, such as You Don't Know Jack Volume 1. Well, I need to put the CD-ROM in first, but yeah. Now, I do have an actual boxed copy of You Don't Know Jack lying around, and thanks to the power of editing, I have the disc already in the optical drive, so I'll go ahead and load up the game. That is, if I can. Also, you might notice the little cursor is animated, just like Survive the Internet.
Hey, contestants, how you doing? Glad you could be here. How many people do we have playing today?
So yeah, You Don't Know Jack actually does function.
So you're playing with yourself, huh? Cookies, please. Sorry, just type your name in, okay? Oh yeah, are you looking for a 7-question
I'll just play 21.
Thanks, Jones, I can dig that. 30 seconds. Okay, your buzzer is B as in beer bong or just plain bong. Alright, question comes on the screen, you buzz in, you pick one of the choices.
I already know how to play the game, but I'll let the intro play just for the heck of it.
Lose the desktop. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Classic gag, lose the desktop.
Thank you very much. Stand by. Okay.
And there's Berkeley Systems, the developers behind After Dark and the Flying Toasters. And Jellyvision, now known as Jackbox Games.
You comfortable? Good. We're starting. Okay, pick a category.
Alright.
Get ready for some fun. It's question number 1. Oh yeah! The category.
This is a
Star
classic
Trek
trivia
and
game.
genetics. None of our favorite Star Trek characters is lacking in courage, but which captain lacks a Y chromosome?
Let's try...
No, but do you suppose there's a chromosome that causes chronic melodramatic acting?
Okay then.
Should have picked this. Captain Janeway.
Alright.
Why? Because she's a woman. Women don't have Y chromosomes.
Oh, fair enough.
Alright, come on.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Sometimes the game freezes for a bit when it's trying to read from the disc. Let's try this one.
What to do? It's question number 2. The name in this category is dog food and Italian cuisine.
I do have
Right answer
every
will
copy
get
of
you
You Don't Know
2 Gs
Jack
for this
prior
question.
to
Hey,
1998,
remember that
so
dog food
there's
commercial
that.
where the dog chases around a miniature covered wagon? If the little covered wagon broke a wheel, which type of pasta could they possibly use to replace the wheel and stay ahead of the dog?
I'll just make a guess with this one. Yeah, I kind of suck at this game sometimes.
You could have picked this. Ruta. They're shaped like wagon
Ruta.
wheels. Of course,
Cool.
if you're going to use them on the wagon, you don't want to boil them first.
Alright, well, you get the idea. It's still a fun game, and I haven't played it in a while, so doing this video is an excuse to finally start playing it again. So there you have it. That is the Survive the Internet desktop and You Don't Know Jack running on this 2007 Dell laptop. I thought I'd go ahead and challenge myself to creating a custom desktop theme based around a Jackbox game that I do like, but unfortunately we're kind of running out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and shut her down. And yes, I am using the classic theme for this one, so let's go ahead and turn the computer off. And yes, I even have a log off sound. I would release the custom theme online, but a lot of the assets are ripped from the game, so can't really do that. So there you have it. That is the Dell Latitude D830. Overall, it was a pretty good system back then, and is still a pretty good system today. But its legacy will live on as the computer featured in Icon Wars. A short film that got over 400,000 views because people like icons fighting each other for practically no reason other than entertainment. Yeah. If you'd like to see more showcases like this, feel free to subscribe, and I would like to show off more of my computers from my collection in the future, but that depends if I'm free to do any of them, so there's that. But anyways, thanks very much for watching, and as always, I will see you all next time. Take care.